Chad here with another at-home or travel workout from Kinetics. Let's talk about what we have going on today. So, our prep, our sweat, and our breathe section. Remember, we have a range of sets and reps that you can choose from to make this fit your schedule and your ability to the best way possible for you, right? So, when we look at our prep work today, we have 3 to 4 sets. We have 4 movements. First off, we have a minute of shadow boxing. Have some fun with it. Be a little bit playful, explore some movement. If you're unfamiliar with any sort of striking or martial arts or boxing, combatives, anything like that, it's fine, right? You're not being tested, you're not being thrown in the ring. Just have a little bit of fun, loosen up. So you got a minute there. After that, we have 8 to 10 slow burpees, followed by 4 to 6 per side of a shin box flow, and then 8 to 10 hip thrusts or a glute bridge if you don't have access to something to elevate your shoulders. Let's take a look at all of these movements. So for our shadow boxing, all we're really looking for here is we start to elevate the heart rate a little bit, okay, and we start to loosen up. And hey, maybe we have a little bit of fun with it, right? So we're gonna stay light on our feet, hands remain up by your face, basically so you can see over the top of your knuckles. It's kind of a good rule of thumb here. And from there, I'm moving. I'm gonna move on my feet. I'm light on my toes. I can throw that jab, throw that cross, jab, cross, right? If I have a little bit more in my repertoire, I can work on jab, cross, hook. I can get some combinations in there, that uppercut, right? Playing around with movement, changing levels as if you're ducking someone swinging at you at your head, okay? Play with it, have fun, okay? It's just movement and exercise, all right? Once we're done there, you got a minute. We have 8 to 10 slow burpees. So for our slow burpees, let's make sure we're emphasizing really quality positions. So all I'm doing is lowering to the bottom of a squat, stepping back into an instep lunge, tall plank. From here, if I have really good solid push-ups, perform a push-up. If I don't, shoulder tap, shoulder tap. Step up with that opposite foot into that lunge. Return to the bottom of my squat. Make sure I'm upright before I stand. Okay? So the pace of this doesn't have to be painfully slow, but you can choose to kind of settle into that squat for a second or two. You can choose to hold that instep lunge position for a second or two, get a little bit of a stretch while you're there. But it should look something like this if I'm just kind of moving steadily through it. Squat, lunge, push up, lunge, squat, stand. All right? 8 to 10 reps there. Then we'll move on to 4 to 6 reps of a shin box flow. So for our shin box flow, we're gonna be in a seated position. We wanna get ourselves set up so that one shin is in front of us, perpendicular to our body, okay, and the other shin is to the side of that. So 2 90-degree angles. From here, I like to brace through my belly. You're gonna push through the floor with your feet and knees, driving up onto your hip. Step through with that back leg into a lunge position and stand. Step back into that lunge, sweep the foot around, connect the knee to your forward foot, and lower. With control, okay? The whole time, up and down, we're moving with control. So try not to use any momentum and try not to fall down into any positions, okay? Controlled, intentional movement throughout. That is our shin box get up. Once we're done there, 8 to 10 reps of a hip thrust, okay? So you'll need a couch or a chair or something, a bench to elevate your shoulders. Think upper back supported on that element. And from there, I'm just gonna drive the hips up, squeeze my butt at the top, come back down, so I'm at a little hover, right? So my butt is just an inch or two off the ground. Okay, if you don't have anything to elevate your shoulders onto, simply perform a glute bridge, exact same movement, Okay, just less range of motion, and your shoulders will be on the floor versus elevated onto that couch or bench or chair. Okay, as we finish that, we can go back to that shadow boxing for a minute. We have 3 to 4 rounds or sets of these 4 movements. We're all done with that. We move on to our sweat piece. Today we have 5 to 7 sets of 12 to 15 single leg glute bridges, 5 to 10 narrow push-ups, 8 to 10 stand to sit, and then 30 seconds of squat thrusts. Let's take a look at each of these movements. So that single leg glute bridge, if you do want to substitute that for the hip thrust, if you have access to this bench or couch or whatever it is, and you prefer that increased range of motion, okay, by all means, substitute it out for a hip thrust if you'd like. But our glute bridge, just like the bilateral movement here, I'm going to get myself down onto my back. I'm going to elevate one foot, and then I'm going to bridge my hips up, back down. Nice and smooth and controlled. Okay, making sure that I'm braced in my belly throughout the movement. Okay, I don't want to arch back and forth through my lower back. I want to contract my abs and hold that braced position while I move my hip. Okay, 12 to 15 reps per side there. Then we'll move on to our narrow push-ups. So bringing those hands inside of the shoulders. If you want, you can create that diamond position, touching the index finger and thumbs together. That's a great kind of cue to set your hands. If you want to go slightly wider than that, it's fine as well. But once we're there with our hand position, all the same rules of a push-up apply. Narrow stance here. Okay, and we're moving like a traveling plank. Okay, straight line from the back of my neck down to my heels. If these are pretty easy for me and 10 reps are not very challenging, I can add a little bit of volume, or if I have access to some bands or a weight vest, that might be a better option, right? Keeping the rep range where it is, but just adding some band tension by anchoring the band underneath your hands and looping it up around your back. If these are really difficult for you, then you can go ahead and elevate your hands, still creating that narrow position with your hands, or go from a kneeling position. If you use the kneeling position, we don't love that option, but if you use it, just squeeze your butt and make sure that you create that nice straight line. Now this time will be from shoulders down to your knees versus shoulders to your ankles. Okay, so we don't want your butt sticking out while you're doing these. Once you get 5 to 10 done there, we have 8 to 10 of our stand to sit. Okay, just like it sounds, you're literally traveling from a standing position to a seated position. The only rules here are you don't use your hands, and the movement has to be smooth, controlled, and intentional. So we can't just kind of flop to the ground, and we can't throw our momentum to get ourselves up. Now, if this is really difficult for you, by all means, give yourself a little assistance from your hand, right? You can modify the movement that way. But the goal here is to find solutions for you to get down to the floor and back up without using your hands with control. So it might be as simple as stepping back into a lunge, dropping that other foot, and sitting our butt down. Finish position is here, crisscross applesauce. Okay? And I come back up, or halfway through that's halfway through the position, I guess. Come back up, there's 1 rep. Okay? I can go ahead and cross my ankles, lower myself down into that position, hopefully more gracefully than that. And then from there, bring myself back up. Okay? Control is the name of the game. As little or no momentum as possible, and not using assistance from your hands unless you absolutely need it. Okay? 8 to 10 times, we're going to go from that standing position down to the ground and back up. Once we're done there, we have 30 seconds of squat thrust. So moving with purpose and intent with a little bit of speed here. We're dropping down into that tall plank, standing up, squeeze your butt hard as if you just finished a kettlebell swing. So it'll look something like this. quick tap of the feet, coming back up, standing, extend the hip, squeezing your butt. Okay? We're rigid in the plank position and we're rigid in the standing position. Once you're done there, you're going to go back to those single leg glute bridges, okay? And we'll complete 5 to 7 sets total of today's sweat piece. When we're all done, we have 5 minutes, deep diaphragmatic breathing in a forward fold position. Don't skip this part. Take the time to do it. Close your eyes. If you can extend it to 10 or 15 minutes and incorporate some mindfulness or meditation, please, we encourage you to do that. It's a great idea. If you want to use a band or a strap or something like that to kind of help hold you in position so you can breathe and relax into it, that's fine. Just make sure we're not straining on this portion for the stretch. Okay, we're letting ourselves relax and we're letting the breath potentially take us deeper into range of motion, not us yanking on an external object. Okay, enjoy your workout, everyone, and we'll see you next time.